After one of the most divisive elections in US history, Donald Trump will leave the White House on January 20th. But even his closest friends and political aides are uncertain of what the president will do next. Today, we're answering the question, what will Donald Trump do after leaving the White House? One thing is certain, after leaving the White House, Donald Trump will relocate to his Palm Beach resort, Mar-a-Lago. The president made more than 30 trips to his Florida compound during his presidency for a total of more than 130 nights, or just under 9% of his total time in office. It's easy to understand the appeal. Mar-a-Lago is located on the picturesque Palm Beach barrier island, and in addition to beautiful beach terrain, the hotel offers a full golf course and the second largest mansion in Florida. Just like every previous president, Trump will maintain a small security detail while he stays at the Florida compound to guarantee his safety for years to come. The Trumps will have their own housing unit, separate from the clubhouse where civilian guests stay. Though it will be smaller than his previous suite in Trump Tower in New York, the home is very spacious. It is also reportedly very loud at the property, due to its location directly in the flight path of Palm Beach International Airport. And there's another issue. It's technically illegal for Trump to live at Mar-a-Lago full-time. In 1993, Trump was in financial trouble and was forced to change the legal status of his property. While negotiating with his bankers, he promised to divide Mar-a-Lago into smaller properties, alarming Palm Beach residents, so the city council rejected his plan to do so. Trump instead turned the estate into a private club in 1995, fighting off what he considered to be excessive restrictions. Under current rules, residents can only stay at the resort for a maximum of 21 days, making full-time residence impossible. And to make things even more complicated, Trump is not well liked by his neighbors. It's been a circus there for 4 years, and we're fed up with it, one Palm Beach homeowner told CNN. There's absolutely no legal theory under which he can use the property as both a residence and a club, said Glenn Zeitz, another nearby Palm Beach homeowner who has joined the fight against Trump and had previously tangled with him over Trump's attempt to seize a private home to expand his Atlantic City casino. Basically, he's playing a dead hand. He's not going to intimidate or bluff people because we're going to be there. This is also creating issues for the Secret Service, which would be required to break the law in order to protect the president. And the final problem with Mar-a-Lago is the helipad. Palm Beach residents begrudgingly allowed its construction after Trump's election on the condition that it only be used for presidential business and that it will be removed after he leaves office. Trump's personal helicopter has been recorded taking off from the helipad many times, and he shows no signs of giving up the airspace. Trump will likely find a way to stay at Mar-a-Lago, but how exactly will he spend his time? Will he go back to his career as a real estate developer, continue to pursue politics, or something different altogether? Most presidents treat their post-presidential lives as a semi-retirement. Many write books, take speaking engagements, and support charitable causes. But Donald Trump is unlikely to follow this model. Donald Trump has broken many norms as president, says Tim Culkins, professor of marketing at Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management. There's no reason to think that Donald Trump will act like any former president that we've ever seen. Trump has been extremely vocal about his disappointment with the results of the election. He has even threatened to run again in 2024. There's only one other president in history who managed to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. Grover Cleveland was the executive in 1885 and then again in 1893. I would absolutely put him on the short list of people who are likely to run in 2024, former Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney recently said. Despite losing both the popular vote and the Electoral College, Trump has an extremely loyal base who would likely support him again in 4 years. There are even rumors that Trump's eldest son, Don Jr., may run for president. But many people believe that these are empty boasts. Trump stands to make much more money through lucrative book deals and speaking engagements. The president can easily pack tens of thousands of people into a stadium for his campaign rallies. Some speculate that Trump will turn these into paid, ticketed events and raise millions of dollars in the course of a few years. In fact, Trump is already pocketing millions as he raises money through the Save America PAC. The Political Action Committee was purportedly set up to fundraise for Republican candidates in the upcoming Georgia runoff election. However, Politico reported that Trump is diverting 75% of the funds to his own personal fund, giving the remaining 25% to the Republican National Committee, meaning that none of the funds directly support the Republican candidates. Leadership PACs can be used to effectively keep your campaign staff on the payroll, keep them in your orbit, pay for travel, pay for rallies, even for polling, said Brendan Fisher, the director of the Federal Reform Program at the Campaign Legal Center, which supports greater regulation of these entities. Trump could potentially use his new leadership pack to not only preserve his influence within the Republican Party after he leaves the White House, but also to potentially benefit him and his family financially. And Trump may need these resources to cover the legal problems he is facing. Another possible outcome for the next 4 years is that Trump will be overwhelmed dealing with the dozens of lawsuits against him and the Trump Organization. Several stem from Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance, who is investigating Trump's alleged use of hush money to 2 women who claimed they had affairs with Trump. He also faces 2 separate sexual assault cases and a lawsuit from his own niece, alleging fraud and conspiracy. And this is in addition to numerous lawsuits surrounding his businesses and now defunct charity. The most pressing lawsuit stems from the Southern District of New York. It comes from the federal prosecution against Michael Cohen, Trump's one-time personal attorney and fixer. Cohen pleaded guilty to paying hush money to keep women silent during Trump's 2016 campaign. The Justice Department tends to treat the sitting president as immune from legal inquiry while they are in office, but this case enters uncharted territory. It is unclear if Trump will be legally vulnerable once he leaves office. He has even suggested that he would attempt to preemptively pardon himself before he steps down in January. But if Trump decides to forego politics entirely, he could always return to his business empire. The New York Times reports that Trump has more than $400 million worth of loans coming due in the next year, meaning that he will need a focused business plan to pay them back. To make things worse, many of Trump's businesses are in the tourism industry, which has been badly hit during the pandemic. Forbes estimates that COVID-19 may have wiped out as much as $1 billion from his net worth. This is in addition to a New York Times piece that shows Trump paid no income tax in 10 out of the last 15 years due to substantial business losses. It seems that returning to business might be an uphill battle for Trump, so many people expect him to pivot into a career as a media mogul. He has experience as the longtime host and producer of The Apprentice, and with a larger fan base than ever before, Trump is uniquely poised to capitalize on his controversial status. Whether you love him or hate him, Trump knows how to garner media attention and use it to his advantage. He'll definitely have a potential audience, says Henry Schaefer, Executive Vice President at Q-Score's company. Mr. Trump succeeded in building his brand as a love-to-hate personality, like the Kardashians or Howard Stern, he says. But there is a final option. Stemming from the Former President's Act, all former presidents are entitled to an annual pension of $207,800 in addition to healthcare, Secret Service protection, and travel expenses. Donald Trump is 74 years old, and he could choose to retire after a stressful tenure in the White House. Despite his age, few people expect him to take this route. $200,000 is a lot of money for the average person, and even the average outgoing president. But Trump is by far the wealthiest president in history, and the modest stipend is unlikely to satiate him. Most experts believe that Trump's #1 priority post-presidency will be to avoid indictment. If he can do this effectively, there are numerous other avenues he can take. Per usual, no one really knows the answers to these questions but Trump himself. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to learn more about politics, science, business, and more.